Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Guys, welcome back to Construct Your Life. This is Austin Linney here. I have the honor of having the Hensleys here. How you doing, guys?
Good.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Guys, we don't even know how many businesses they have. They don't even know how many businesses they have. That's the truth of the matter. But what I like to do, we know you're an investor. We know you're a builder. We know you're all those things. What I like to do with my guests is let them start the story where they want to, and then we'll kind of get into details as we go on. So I'll let y'all kind of tell everybody who you are, and then we go from there.
Yes. Eric, I think you should lead the way on this one.
So my name is Eric, and this is Niki. And I think just our story is we've been married for 10 years. We flip, build, long-term hold. If there's something in real estate, we've probably did it, tried to do it, failed at it, did it well. We did anything and everything. Owned some trailer parks even. So it is definitely something that we've been learning through for sure.
And in all that, we have 3 kids. We're homeschooling this year and trying to work together and still like each other.
I think that last part's the key. Do y'all mind turning your video on? I can't see y'all. If that's possible.
Why.
There we go. So that was a lot there. You know, when y'all met before you had kids, did y'all have any real estate together? Or did you have any real estate? You didn't do it at all. So it was after.
Yeah, we met in college. So he was playing football at Vanderbilt. And I went to the college and where we live now in Murfreesboro. And we met line dancing one night.
He was. Did you have on the boots and the cowboy hat?
The boots.
The boots, not the cowboy hat.
So what did you go to college for, Eric?
Football. No, I started as a mechanical engineer, and
you realized that was hard.
Quickly realized playing football and doing that was not going to work when I ended up with a 1.8 GPA after my freshman year. So there's probably some other things involved in that year as well. So, and then I switched over to human and organizational development, which at Vanderbilt is basically the football degree.
Okay. And then when you graduated school, what did you do right after that?
Got into sales. So in 2009, it was really, really tough to get a job. Like I expected to come out and, hey, I've got a Vanderbilt degree. Like, just give me $100,000 a year. Yes, please. Let's, and it just didn't work that way. I tried to go to the NFL and it didn't work out. To be honest, it was something that I learned a lot from, but just didn't work out. And then I started working for a company that was door-to-door sales. So it was door knocking, selling paper and toner.
Dude, I just got chills. I officially told somebody the other day that there's no more savage job than door-to-door knocking. And
it was B2B too. So, but I actually did really good at it. I was really good at it. So,
well, what's interesting to me is the biggest investors I've met, there's a guy I know that has bought $450 million worth of real estate in the last 4 years. And he started out cold calling, doing door-to-door. And all the big guys I meet, there's something about getting over that fear that somehow better prepares them to be a salesman or entrepreneur or investor, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I think it definitely is a reason why he's done so well.
And then ultimately, what turned you on to real estate and where did you get started?
So I was working for a company called Cintas, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I hated everything about it. And I got an opportunity during that time. Niki and I bought a new home, and we were building with a company called Ryan Homes, and they're a huge national builder. They're probably number two, number three right now.
For sure.
And they have tons and tons of neighborhoods. And so we ended up getting to where we were building with them and had a good experience. And so at the end of that, they were like, hey, we're opening up some new neighborhoods. We'd really like to have you come interview. I was like, okay. Well, they offered me, what I was making in total as a base salary. And I was like, well, this is awesome. So I jumped in and went and started learning, how to sell out of model homes. So
that was kind of your foray. I didn't know that about you. So that was kind of your foray into the new construction world. Yeah.
So I learned how to read blueprints, how costing worked, how to run a neighborhood. About got fired in the meantime because I sucked at being a salesman at that position because it was just it was just different.
Why did you think you sucked it? Because you were such good at the other job. Why do you think you sucked at this one?
Boredom. I mean, when you sit in a model home by yourself and, day in, day out, you really had to strive to stay focused. And, at this time in my life, I was 25.
Yeah.
I was 25 and, we're making really good money. We had no debt. And, honestly, at the time, I think the motivation just was not there. Mm-hmm. And
I still worked. I worked full time for the city.
Yeah.
Did you say that?
Yeah. And so we didn't see each other. I worked weekends. She worked days, or she worked during the week. And, our relationship wasn't great at the time, but,
it didn't matter because we didn't see each other.
Correct. So, and then I kept going, and like I said, about got fired from that job just because, there was a lot of different things. And I had just a good sales manager. She believed in what I was able to do, and she gave me a second chance. And I don't know what happened, but after that, I just clicked something and then started crushing it. And, was one of the top sales reps right before I left. And, just from that opportunity, I came and was able to be a regular real estate agent. So I went on a team, and it was very short-lived team. I finally realized that I didn't like other people telling me what to do. And so I went into this team thinking that, hey, I'm gonna make all this money. I'm gonna do all this stuff. This is gonna be great. I'm just gonna get leads. They said, hey, you can have a neighborhood. We'll have this neighborhood ready for you. And you can just do what you've been doing, right? None of that happened. None of it happened. Mm-hmm. Actually, farther from the truth. The biggest set of lies I've ever had in my entire life was that switch. Mm-hmm.
But you didn't have an option there
but I didn't have an option.
I was pregnant with our third kid, and I had just quit my job, and so there's no option. He had to succeed at it.
Okay. Yeah, so within 30 days, I had my first sale. Within 60 days, we were crushing, and then I ended up doing more that year, which was 2015. I ended up doing more in income that year than us combined the year before.
Amazing.
And, yeah. So, and I think I just carried the momentum I had, from selling new construction, and I was really good at open houses. Really good.
And I was going to ask you, because a lot of my coaching clients, a lot of people that listen to it are brand new agents. I've heard the story. I've heard the story 70 million times. Whatever your brokerage is going to promise you, they're not going to do. No. So how did you take I'm not going to do anything for you to I'm going to go crush it? And what were you doing that?
Because I didn't have a choice. We didn't have any money, and I had 3 kids, and my wife didn't work.
Yeah.
And I think that's when people's true character comes out, is when, sink or swim, I guess, and a lot of people choose to sink, and they just, depend on the systems or whatever they can. But, also that's when he had to thrive. I feel like when push comes to shove, that's when the champions are made.
100%, because I haven't told me I've had a fucking crazy year, but ultimately when all the distractions were removed from my life and me leaning on other people, and like my mentors said, I have to bet on myself for once in my life, the true nature of who I was came 100% out. And it's been in spades. Right. And I think people are scared of that unknowing, but it also can bring the best out in a lot of people if they choose to look at it that way. And,
with me, my first year in real estate, I did just over 7 million in volume, which was really good. And then at the end of that year, I just said, hey, I'm not going to be on a team anymore. During that time as well, I started working for a home builder in the area and started working his model homes, and really, brought him an idea of, hey, let's try this. And, you pay me a flat fee per house, and it worked out really well. And, I worked for him for the next 3 years. Mm-hmm. So, and grew that business and grew my business. And, it just grew into, where I just learned how to find deals. And then 2018 was my first investment deal. So in January of 2018, I had an opportunity to buy a house, and I had a listing. House was really bad. Like, lady was not happy at all. Her sister lived there. She didn't want to have to evict her sister. She's like, hey, I just want to sell it. I was like, well, look, here's what we can do. We can evict your sister. We can clean the house out, and you can get 120 grand. I said, you might be able to get a little bit more. I said, here's your fees. Here's everything involved. I was like, I'll help you do everything. But Niki and I had just did a first position HELOC on our old house, and we had some cash. I was like, or, I'll offer you 75 grand right now. No commission, no nothing. I said, I'll close in 3 days, and you don't have to mess with anything. I'll take care of it all. I said, either option that you want, I'd be happy to help you with. Mm-hmm. And she knew, what she was leaving on the table, but she didn't care because she just was tired and done. And she sold it to me for 75 grand. And I turned around in 3 weeks and sold it for 100, made 25,000 in 3 weeks. And, that was it. I was like, why in the world am I sitting in a model, selling regular real estate when I just made 25,000 off a $75,000 deal?
Mm-hmm.
In 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember back to the first conversation we ever had. You told me flat out to my face, I want it all. You said, Austin, I don't think you get it. When I go hard. And so, dude, we're sitting on 2021's coming up around the corner. So probably about 2 years, give or take. From that, and I don't even know if you can remember, from that first deal, not separate deals, but just total deals. How many investment deals do you think you've done in 2 years?
Over 200.
Holy shit. Okay. So you do that first one, and then what was the next one?
The next one was $1 million 6 townhome gut to the studs rehab in hard money. So basically you went from like a double green to like triple black right off the gate. And then we also started wholesale marketing, diving into wholesaling. I partnered with a guy, and we just started calling. I hired 7 cold callers. I went to my first wholesaling event, learned really in depth about what wholesaling was. In the meantime, we're paying, I was paying $9,000 a month in interest on this $1 million deal that we were going through. Our relationship wasn't great at the time. I was drinking a lot, and just, it was my world, and I was just going as hard as I could, and family life wasn't that big a deal to me at the time, mm-hmm. And so it was all work. And that's all I did. And through that year, we had a rough year that year, really rough. And about in January through July. And then in July was kind of when her and I were just like at our wits' ends. And
once he started being really successful in real estate in general, probably beginning of 2017, the networking and the drinking all started. And that's when I left my job and I was staying at home with the kids, and he was out building his empire, I guess. So we've had about like 2 years of really bad marriage. And then, I guess like July of 2018.
Yeah. And then in July 2018, she basically came to me and said, look, it's either you're going to continue to do this and, or, it's me, I'm talking about her and the family. And, at the time, I'm still this way. Like, I don't want anybody to tell me what to do. Like, if you can coach me, and I'm going to be probably the best student you ever had. Right. Because I do listen. I am coachable. I grew up that way. Some coaches I had were terrible. Some coaches I had were phenomenal, and I'd run through a brick wall for them, and that's how I still am to a point. But now I think I wanted to keep my family together, and I wanted to have it all, like I told you. And so I quit drinking completely, like 100%, like cold turkey, just, which I this is just something about me that I'm just have a will of whatever I want to do, I'm going to do. And so I quit that. And,
but speaking about our marriage during that time, when he stopped, like I thought, once he stops drinking, we'll be fine. It'll all work, because drinking's the issue. But drinking honestly made us have to deal with the issues. The drinking was the cover up, and then, so that was a very hard year for us. And
I was very mean, not drinking, having to figure out how to deal with shit. And, and you just get to like, dude, that's all I did. College, party, right? Shit went well, you drink. Stuff goes bad, you drink. Like even through our first like 5 or 6 years of marriage, same thing. Like stuff went well, I drank. Stuff went bad, I drank. And so it was difficult. Well, during this time, I also was growing a huge, like wholesaling, investing, like, the biggest thing that I could possibly do. I was going after everything. Plus I had this in the center of it. And, at the end of 2018, we were okay. We were
committed to making it work, but it wasn't
we both pleasant. We both were committed. And then I was also committed to making my business work. So I started trying to find different ways, different marketing, learning everything, like what works, what doesn't work. I separated with the first business partner I had, and immediately got back into bed with another business partner that I thought like this was going to be great, and I thought, I always looked for the easy, which doesn't sound good, but the easy money, right? Like, oh, this guy's going to rehab, this guy's going to work, like, but I would always out hustle the other party, right? And then like that wouldn't go well. And, and of course I'm a very dominant figure in general. And so we kind of got into 2019, and 2019 is where we started like really growing, not only together, but also as the business. And in 2019, we were able to figure out that we were good at rehabs. We didn't like working with other people that had a say. And that's 2019 is where we started really coming together. We were able to start working on projects together. I started looking at more builds. I started looking at a couple of rentals, and learning what cash flow was and, how to do it. And so at the end of 2019 is when I bought my first rentals, and I bought them in Chattanooga. I bought 8 doors like that. And then, we just kind of grew from there. And in 2020 is honestly, and we've had so many people be like, hey, 2020 has been terrible. It's the worst year ever. it is the best year of our entire, I mean, it's been the best year I've ever had. It's been the best year for our marriage, the best year for my business. Like the kids, like 2020 has been the absolute best year we've ever had. And I think it was leading up to this, honestly, because before the pandemic would have just wiped her and I out, like, because relationship wise, like we would have killed each other. Like, and so, but because we had went through what we went through, not only were we growing together better, but we were also able to grow the business more because I was able to stay focused and grow and grow. So we went from doing, I think we did like 9-10 actual rehabs. We did like 40 wholesale, bought and just sold them. Then we did like 15 wholesale. And then I did a build. And then of course we had like 40, just regular transactions in 2019 to 2020. I currently have 17. I have 21 builds that I either own or going, and I have 17 active rehabs currently in the works. And we bought over 200 doors this year. And so I think just continuing to go down that path and us growing together. And then I started hiring people and started to really try and run a business. And I think once that mindset shift was made and we were starting to work together, I figure out that we work better together. The business goes better together, and we're able to just expand rapidly. Sorry, that's a lot.
No. I'm just, there's 17 different ways I could go with that. But the way I want to go with it, more importantly, is, first of all, it's beautiful. Second of all, a lot of people, especially in the society that we live in today, just give up. It would have been so much easier to just give up, right? You go do your own thing. I have a nickname, I think, that sits the same with you. They call me the Rhino, because ultimately a lot of my early days was just brute force. Perfect example. This will sit well with you. 2 years ago, a conversation that changed my entire life randomly. I ran into a friend that I used to work with, and she said, Austin, there's no part about you that won't be successful. I know you'll be successful, but ultimately, when you get to the top of the mountain, how much destruction have you laid in your wake because you're a bloody knuckle climber? And when she said that, it shook me to my core, and I made a shirt that said it because I wanted to change it, because that's not the way that you get to the top. And so ultimately, was it your faith in each other or your faith in the family? Like, a lot of people just walk away because that's the easy thing. Like the real estate and stuff is great. Whatever. I don't give a shit. You're going to crush it. But ultimately, I care more about, the kids having their parents in a harmonious state, which predicates in the business and so many other things. Correct?
Yeah. And I tried to. I tried to walk away. I tried multiple times, and call it God, call it force, call it whatever you want. I couldn't, and at the time, maybe it was the kids, because it definitely wasn't our relationship at the time. And, but like, she took me, she was here with me, and we went through some hard stuff. But now I look back and like, it's the best thing that ever happened. So I don't know. I think giving up is something that is just not in my bones.
Yeah. Well, my friend said this quote to me, and it's very important, and it makes a lot of sense in my sobriety now. She said, when I got divorced and I needed to get divorced, she goes, I didn't love myself enough to get better, but I borrowed the love for my kids to get better till I believed in myself. And I think sometimes you have to hold on to something else greater than yourself to fill you up inside until you can love yourself enough to know that it's worth it.
I think something else too that a lot of people don't realize is like you have to love your spouse more than you love your kids. You have to put them before them. Yeah. Like, you have to put your spouse before your work. You have to put your spouse before anything and everything except for God. And, that is one thing I never did, until the recent, like, 18 plus months. And I just started putting her first, and, even to yourself. And a lot of people just think like, hey, when I have these kids, like these kids are the most important thing. And they're not. Like, if you want to stay married, they're not. And that's not like, I love my children, but if you're going to have a relationship that lasts and have it stick, like, you got to put each other first. And that's something that we have focused on for 2020 is like, we're first. And I think that's been a huge tipping point with us, and we've both been here.
Right.
Like she committed to me that she was going to stop doing certain things, and I committed to her that I was going to start. Mine were a little bigger, with alcohol and stuff, but there were still both parts, and we both did it.
I think something that's important. I heard my buddy say, he's a very high level coach. He says to his fiance, he says, I choose you every month. Right. I don't be with you. I choose you. And when I choose you, it means I'm signing up for what we decided upon. But also, I have to understand that my actions, like, I don't talk about this a lot, but I've got a girlfriend now that, is an amazing human being. But ultimately, I was married for 13 years. And sometimes when we get in a fight, I revert back to that, like, death match of marriage. Yeah. And she's like, who the fuck are you fighting with? And I'm like, I'm sorry, like, it just like kicks me back, because I have to understand that I'm so conditioned that way. And so you have to like almost like retrain yourself and reprogram yourself. And it's very interesting to see how many bad habits you have as a person, right?
Yes. I mean, yesterday in a conversation, he mentioned something, and it like about putting an ATM machine out somewhere, trying another company he wants to start. And something he said, hey, I was like,
I got an ATM fund. Don't even worry about it.
Oh, Lord. But something he said in it, I was like, oh, well, remember when blah, 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 blah. Like, I totally turned it, and I had to take a second, and I apologize. And I said, I have no idea why I brought that up. I'm sorry. So, I mean, I'm easily triggered, and we both are. And we're both learning how to maneuver around the triggers.
But I think in doing that, like, any idea I bring to her now, like, hey, I want to do, like, I've been looking into ATMs. Hey, I want to buy 10 ATMs and start this. Hey, I want to buy a 100-unit apartment complex. Like, I want to go buy a beach house and Airbnb it. I want to build a beach house. I want to, what's my other crazy one? I want to build 2 houses in San Diego when we live in Tennessee. And I had the lot under contract. Like,
we get the point. You have
so not.
But she always goes do it. Yeah. There's never a question, except for San Diego. She didn't want to go to California, but but it's always do it. And that type of support has allowed me to do some crazy stuff.
Because side note, well, I remember. So my buddy just posted yesterday. He has a condo downtown San Diego. He got it booked for 54 days, $17,000. So maybe we need to put that back on the table. But that's a whole other story. All right.
This was in Mission Beach. It was a 2.
Hey, I ran 6 Airbnbs in Mission Beach. I got the numbers in my head already, bro. We're good. So, but it's a jungle down there. Just side note. Yeah. But ultimately, at the end of the day, this is what I learned, right? And I know Eric to know him enough. What is the point, right? There's a point to keep him on the rails, which my coach keeps me on the rails. But if he were to really hold me back, then he would piss me off and he'd be doing a disservice. So it's almost like the same way my team, right? My assistant, my business partners know how to hack my brain. Like Austin is crazy. He's coming up with, he wants a blimp, like crazy stuff, right? But they know they know what's important. They know what's not. And they know when I bring it up 3 times, it means I really want to do it. It's going to happen. Right. Right. And so but here's the difference. Here's the difference between the ex-business partners and the new ones. And nothing against the ex-business partners. We were learning together. All of us. It was a new business for us. Mm-hmm. Instead of championing and supporting those ideas, they not put them down, but didn't understand the value in them. So it made me feel less warranted in who I was. And it made me not even want to, it tarnished my fire. Right. Yeah. And so by you supporting that, And you're like, he'll figure out if that's a dumb idea or not later on. But ultimately, it allows him to be him, which makes him happy, which makes him a better husband. So it's this whole cycle of many different things.
Yes. And I learned too, I'm a very faith-driven person, that I just pray about it and I say, God, if this is meant to be, work it out. And if not, shut it down. And half the time he shuts it down. Or
So I want to ask you a question, because my favorite thing to do is to get inside people's just like psyche. I don't know if it's football. I don't know if it's the success that you've had in a short amount of time, but I look at you and every investor would be like, dude, I don't have no idea how you're doing these things. First of all, how do you have no limiting beliefs? Where is this constant, like, I'm just going to do it mentality come from that everybody would love to cultivate and few have?
I didn't used to have it. I'll tell you that. If I would have had it in college, I would be probably 10 years in the NFL, and I think that, I don't know. I think that drive there to, how bad it was when I didn't make it to the league, turned around and allowed me to, start working towards certain things. And then honestly, when you make money, you want to make more, and at 24, I was making $100,000, and 25, I made 150, and 26, I made 200, and I never went down, never, no matter if I, and so I realized that, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, money grows on trees. I have a mentor of mine who helps me in some stock market stuff. And he wrote a book about Jeremy Newsom, phenomenal guy, wrote a book called Money Grows on Trees. And it's just the mindset of changing what you think about, like literally money is everywhere. Money is everywhere. And so,
but ultimately it takes to get to the first $100,000. And after that, you have to break the ceiling.
And right now I'm trying to break $1 million.
Okay.
And that's the ceiling that I want to break right now. And so, we continue to do different things, but I think for my drive, it's changed. Like, at first it was get to the league. Well, then I didn't get to the league, and that was very, very disappointing for me. But then I look back and I go, but you drank for 4 years straight. Like, literally, I would drink on Thursday nights until 3 or 4 in the morning before I played on Saturdays. Right. Like, it just wasn't, it wasn't good. And then I don't know, something in the middle of Ryan Holmes, that just clicked. And, I don't know what it was. It wasn't family, because that we weren't the best then, but maybe it was. Something clicked and I just started going. And since then I've not stopped. Not only in not going, but like, I will do anything and everything, and I'll at least try it if I think it's going to work.
Yes. And
I'm going to give it a good shot. Like, I tried to start a paint company this year, failed, didn't work.
Yeah.
But, I moved on to the next thing.
Well, try this theory on for size. I was running, and by the way, I'm sorry to keep diving into this. I don't know why. I'm not doing this on purpose, so don't think I am. But I was running in La Jolla along the beach. I swear to God, I'm not doing this on purpose. I just happened to be there. It's very beautiful. And I had this idea, right? Because I have friends that are 23, 25, 18 that own 180 units, 200 units. And they do wholesales. He just did a wholesale $350K.
Wow.
And then I talk to a lot of 50-year-olds or 40-year-olds that are trying to get in real estate from another W-2. And it's been 2 years since they learned about it and they haven't done a deal. And I almost think that being so young and naive to the process, you're almost dumb enough to just do shit. And then you wake up one day and you have a bunch of shit. Isn't that the process?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's the deal. You're like, well, fuck it. I mean, because I had a really bad joke. I'm not going to say it because she's here. But long story short, Chris Rock says, men can't go back financially and women can't go back, or no, women can't go back financially. Men can't go back something else, but that's for another time. But either way, what I'm saying is, when you just said it earlier, when you taste it, right? And you taste that 30 units. And I have a coaching client, young kid, gotta love him. came out of rehab. He's doing great. He's crushing the world right now. Thank God. But he told me, what's your goal, man? He's 23. He said, I'd like to have 2 single-family residents by 30. I said, get the fuck out of here. I said, no. I said, you want it in 6 months? What are you even talking about? I was like, you can have 300 units by then. He was like, really? I'm like, yes, you have to change the way that you think about everything. But it's almost that naivete where they're just like, because think about it this way. I have not had formal training for my coaching. My life experiences of a, meth addict and homeless and an alcoholic is my training, right? And a bartender for 20 years. But I almost don't want to get too polished because I'm so street that you can't see where I'm coming from. Like I had one of my coaching clients put a quarter in his right pocket for 7 days last week.
Why?
Everybody's so he thinks about the quarter in his pocket and gets out of the fuck out of his head. Because dude, it's us holding us back. And you think that there's ceilings in your life. And what I know about y'all's trajectory, there are no ceilings.
No, there's nothing. And I think the only thing that limits me is me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And having, and having control. Like when I, you seek control of everything. And when you realize that you don't control anything, that's where you can change a lot. And I think this year has been a big year for that. When you realize like you don't control anything. Like if the government wants to shut every business down, they can. If they want to tell you to stay home, they can. If they want to, and you don't control any of it, but you just continue to control how you're reacting to it. And I think that was a big thing for us this year.
Yeah, I just said it yesterday on a buddy's podcast. You don't control your life, but you control your actions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what you do every day and how you react to it is what you get out of it. And here's the deal. I know this about you, that you're going to make 2021 your bitch. And here's how I believe. 2020 version of Eric Hensley cannot walk through the fucking door of 2021 Eric Hensley, because that guy's going to be leveled up that much better, and you've got to say no to that guy.
And I need more tattoos. So
you need more tattoos, so you got to go make more real estate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So ultimately, if you were, because you've done so many things, wholesaling, flipping, hoteling, new construction, you know how I feel about new construction. We talk about it when we talk. If you were to give advice to a young investor or a young agent, where would you start these days? Looking over the next 20 years, where do you see the avenues that could make the difference?
I would start as wholesaling.
Okay.
Yeah, I would actually, if I was going to tell somebody, hey, what is the quickest way to make money, and what is the quickest way to do it without money, right? And that is wholesaling. I mean, that's wholesaling. I would say number 2 is become an agent for a little while, wholesale, become an agent. You can do both, and work that and stack cash, and don't go buy a single family home as a rental. That's my number one thing. Don't go buy a house, like rent, and I know that's not popular belief to a lot of agents and stuff, but like stack cash, put it in the market, make 10 to 20% in the stock market, stack cash, and then go buy an apartment complex, and then go buy another one, and then go buy another one. And you use your active income to create your passive lifestyle. And once your passive replaces your active, then you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. It's odd, man. We had a mastermind event with Bruce Peterson, Diego, my buddy who's done 60 transactions this year, wholesalers that are doing 7 a month. I looked at my assistant. He's new to real estate. And I said, what's your takeaway from that 4 hours of amazing content? And he goes, it's really simple. You have an avenue that makes you a ton of money. You live on less, and you put it in a long-term asset. I go, boom, you just summed up what everybody's trying to read some damn book about. It's not really that hard.
What has everybody always told me? Like, it's very simple, but it's not easy.
Yep.
Right. Like everything that I do is pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you boil it down, like I call people, I ask them if they want to sell their property, and then I buy it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is. Even the $9 million apartment complex, like same thing.
Yeah,
you know?
Dude.
But it's just the different avenues.
Dude, we put an offer today on a $10 million piece of property, right? In a 124 unit, and everybody's like, none of y'all have been there. I'm like, who cares? Like, my buddy lives around the corner. I've been to the neighborhood like 13 times. What do you want to know about it? Like, and he was like, but you haven't seen it. I go, who cares? Do you know how
I bought an apartment complex this year, sight unseen, no due diligence, closing 2 weeks.
No, you didn't. Why did you do it?
And the trailer park. Yeah, I bought a trailer park the same way.
Why did you do it? Because the deal was so good?
The deal was so good. It didn't matter.
It didn't matter. Mm-mm. Because basically what you're describing is you're a solution-based person.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, because ultimately what we don't understand, I'm not trying to get metaphysical on you, but what we don't understand is problems show up in your life to ask you how bad you want it. And people say that that's a crime, but that's actually making you level up. As my mentor says, he lives his entire day trying to make his ceiling his new floor.
Yeah.
So in the stock market, there's something called resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Golly, I can't even think of it. But it's basically like you're talking about. So there's a resistance the stock goes to, and then there's a bottom the stock goes to.
Mm-hmm.
But the resistance ends up being the new bottom on every stock.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you treat life. Just breaking through every time, and that's your new bottom. And I feel like that's definitely what we're trying to do. But I think now too, like I bought a trailer park, sight unseen, never been to it, didn't walk it, nothing. Found out after I closed, it's in a floodplain, and the trailers have to go up a certain height to be in it. And, and I'm going to figure that out.
And a lot of times I like to play, like, what's worst case scenario? Worst case scenario is we can't put any more trailers on it and we have to turn it into tiny homes. Like, how cool would that be? Like, worst case scenario is never that bad.
And here's the greatest thing. I just bought, you know what? Maybe I took a page out of Mr. Eric's book. No BS. I'm looking for RVs on Facebook Market. This happened literally like an hour ago. I'm not joking. I found this guy. I was like, that's a nice piece of property. So we get to talking. And he's like, hey, I got a couple pieces of land for sale, owner finance. What you thinking? I was like, show me something. So I found it, 1/2 acre in the Colorado mountains. I bought it. I don't know I've never been there. I don't give a shit. Dude, are you ready for this? $400 down, $100 a month for 3 years, paid off. Wait for it. Are you ready? I found out from my cousin who lives up there, it's next to the best fly fishing in Colorado and at 40 minutes from Breckenridge. He's like, dude, you just stole it. It's like, you just stole it. I'm like, they're like, what are you going to do with it? I'm like, I don't know. We'll figure it out. But then I went to Home Depot and found these these 14,000 prefab homes. I'm like, put 2 of those on, throw some solar panels up and Airbnb it. Like,
yeah, the bold make the money. The bold make the money. And if you wait on a deal, I will buy it before you. And that's just how.
You know what I like about you though, and I'd like her to speak on this because you have a lot of accomplishments. You have done a ton in the last year and a half, but you're not out flashing it out. You're not puffing your chest out on Instagram. Like,
trying to.
What's that?
I said I've tried to, but it just doesn't work.
It doesn't work for you. But ultimately, like, you have, like, I know that we haven't even seen half of what you really want to do, right? I mean, like, we haven't. I can't even imagine what you think of at night.
Well, I'm happy I can't see all of it.
No, but ultimately, what is amazing is through all the struggles in the early years, I feel like that you're just so happy that ultimately whatever comes your way, it's just like you're just gonna for lack of a better word, smile it away.
Or grunt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're guys. We can only do so much. You know what I'm saying?
Through it, right?
Yeah. Well, I have a friend I need to introduce you to because I think I finally met a human being that thinks bigger than me and you do. So he wants to have blimps take his clients from his Montana property to his Denver property. He wants to buy blimps, and I'm like, yes, dude, let me work with that guy. So
it's you try and find the people and I'm still looking for them, but when I tell people I want to buy a jet,
yes,
I don't want a Ferrari, I want a G650.
Yes.
I want a $54 million plane. And it's when people tell you that and they go,
all right,
cool, how can I help you?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do this. How can we do this together?
You know what's interesting? You know what's interesting is that I think you set markers in your life just like you have done where people don't question it anymore. And so, you know what somebody said to me the other day? They said, you don't know who I am, but you want to come on my podcast? I was like, you don't know who I am. He goes, you did 75 hard. I know exactly who you are. I'm good.
And you're on round 2 of it?
Well, I'm a crazy person, but either way, you know what I'm actually doing? I haven't told anybody.
What?
I'm doing 365 days hard. Because my thought process was how much farther along would I be in my life if I did 365 days straight?
I did the 75 hard this past summer. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. We're starting next Monday. I'm going to make him do it with me.
It's awesome. You know what I also did to streamline my life? Because my buddy manages $5 billion, and we're talking about setting Martrick. He works for UT. They run $50 billion or something. I've scheduled out every book I'm going to read for the year, so I don't have to think about it. So I just finished a book today. I'm on to the next one. Because I think that in society, we have a problem. It's creeping its head. Decision fatigue.
Yeah.
You go to Starbucks and they ask you 7 milks. I don't care about the milks. Just make me the damn Star.
This right here, decision fatigue. You can do anything and everything.
Yeah. And so it's almost like you get to the end of the day and you're like, I can't even think anymore. Well, if you don't have to think about what you're doing and you have good food in your house and you have a book ready to read, well, then you can just step into the new thing.
Right. No excuses then. It's all laid out for you.
So I want to respect your time. How do people find out about you if they want to see what you are up to continue the process?
Absolutely. So at Flip This Together on Instagram, and then we're getting ready to create a YouTube channel, and we're going to give away everything we can for free.
Yes, so I knew. Yeah, I was going to say today, y'all should start a TV show because y'all are a TV show. This is amazing. So we're bringing the Construct Your Life Mastermind with Tyler Coble. We're going to do a big event. I'm speaking financial advice.
Tyler is
he's the best. So May, can I commit that you are going to speak at it?
Yeah.
Are you at least Eric?
Yeah, I'll speak at it.
Okay, it's gonna Bruce Peterson's coming in town. It's gonna be we're gonna have a good. And let me tell you something. I don't do anything small, so we're probably gonna do it on a rooftop. We're gonna have a VIP dinner Friday night. We're just gonna make it fun, dude. Because I have a new rule, and I want you to hang on to this rule, Eric, because I think that too many real estate people talk to too many real estate people.
Oh.
I swear to God, we don't see the deficiencies in our business because we all think the same way.
Yeah. So the best thing that I did this year was I started talking to a stocks guy.
Okay.
So and here's what I mean by that. So when the coronavirus jacked up the stock market, I was like, now's the time to get in. I threw $50,000 into the stock market.
Okay.
And I learned from this guy. And what I learned from him changed my real estate business. And I couldn't agree more. So learning a different industry and how they work and what they did has now changed the trajectory of my real estate business and how I hold on to cash and what I do with it and liquidity, right? Because that's what I'm learning from banks right now is banks love liquidity, but I hate it. I hate cash. I hate cash sitting there. But now I know what to do with it, and I can think through, better things to do with the cash position that I have because I have to have the cash position to close a $10 million deal.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been crazy the change in the mind when you start really thinking about other avenues. And I think that's what's expanding me out. Like I bought an Amazon store this year too. Learning that business.
Yeah, we're about to do that too. Yeah, I mean, it's you got to have it all, man. You got to have the different revenue streams. Chris, I'm sure you are with around the amazing people you are. Do you know about infinite banking? Yes.
Yeah, I've got that.
You have that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, my buddy has 5 of them, and he actually loans money to other investors. so he's making money off his own money.
Yep. Yeah.
No,
that's the thing. Like the other thing, like if anybody hears this and wants to sell a bank, I'd love to buy a bank. So
sure.
I think that's the next thing is, learning the financial side of it is also been a big thing because I can find money for anything.
Yeah.
Whether it's through another hard money lender, a bank,
sure.
PM, other people's money, whatever it is, I can figure it out. Yeah. No matter what it is. And if I put it under contract, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to close on it. And that's the mindset that I've always had is like, I'm not going to leave somebody hanging just because I supposedly didn't find the money. I'm going to find it,
Well, it's funny. I get joys out of different things. Like I just came up with an idea while you were saying that right now. Cause I've been doing it kind of religiously anyway. Like I'm going to see my best friends on Wednesday. We're playing golf. I bought all of their kids, Rich Kid, Poor Kid, so they can read it. But what I did is I have a friend of mine whose son is in an entrepreneurship school. He's 15. And I just told him, I got on a Zoom call with him and told him I was going to invest in his business he was creating. And so I'm going to create a fund to invest in kids' businesses because I can't stand that financial literacy is not taught in America. And I think it's ruining the way that people view money because it's really just a vehicle, but we've created these emotions around it that matters or something.
We're thinking that a kid needs to be in school for 8 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are very, very different on the school side. But
yeah, that's a whole nother podcast because we don't even get that kicked up. Well, guys, I want to thank you so much. I can't wait to see you in May. It's gonna be a good time. I'm gonna think of something to keep this guy occupied without his phone for like 45 minutes. Maybe we'll shoot some clay. Maybe we'll do something fun. And
I would do that all day.
What's that?
I would do that all day.
Okay, but here's a better clue, buddy. Guess what I did for 20 years? Oh, you don't drink anymore. Shit, it'll be for the other people. But I was gonna say because I used to work at Husk in Nashville, so I know everybody in Nashville. I used to live in Nashville, so.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I worked at Husk, and then I almost took a job at Pinewood Social Club. So we lived there briefly for like a year or so. All right, guys.
Have a great day.
You got it, my man. Thank you all so much. Bye. You got it.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.